So you want to learn to play an instrument. If you watch my video channel, you know that I play a number of different instruments, and a lot of times people come up and approach me about how hard it is to learn to play and what instrument is the best one to start on and such questions. I thought I would do a video here and just talk a little bit about some things to think about if you want to get started playing music. One of the biggest questions that you need to start with is determining what instrument is you want to play, or if you want to be a singer for that matter. That's probably the two most common things that people do in folk music particularly. And it's not an easy choice. Unless you're drawn to one particular instrument, there's a lot of choices out there. You know, you be playing the guitar, the fiddle, the banjo, the mandolin, the bass, harmonica, flutes, piano. I mean, just, you know, you can go on and on, not even getting into the classical world of music, but just in the folk music, such as bluegrass and country and blues and so forth. There's still a lot of instruments to choose from. So how do you decide? It might be good to start by trying to narrow down the choices that are out there. And I'd like to share a few things that might help you to narrow that field of choices down so it'd be easier to decide. And a good starting place is if you have a passion for a particular instrument. That's the most logical place to start. You need a lot of passion to learn to play an instrument or to sing. So pick something that you just really love, that you just are, you know, very passionate about, an instrument you love to hear, that intrigues you, that you have great interest in. That's the best place to start. Start with that instrument. Now, there's other considerations, but that's a great way to start. Another thing, maybe not quite as important, but certainly bears some weight in this decision, is the ownership of an instrument. You know, do you already own a good guitar? Do you own a fiddle? Or, you know, what instrument do you have already? Well, that can save you some money and you know, gives you access into being able to play. As long as it's a good instrument that is playable, then hey, that weighs certainly into the decision process. If you don't really have any criteria, maybe there's some family tradition that you would want to, you know, follow. Maybe you had, you know, a parent that played a particular instrument, or a grandfather, someone along the line, and you know, that's something good to follow. So that can help you narrow down the process as well. If you're going to be taking lessons from someone, which I would certainly encourage if you can, you know, the available teachers and what they teach. You know, choosing an instrument that you can get a teacher for can be helpful. You choose a kind of a far out instrument, may be hard to find a teacher. Cost of instrument may be another concern as well. Some instruments are a lot easier to get beginning or beginner instruments in. Guitar isn't too bad anymore. It used to be worse. Fiddle, you know, it's one of those deals where it's pretty easy, pretty affordable to get a very basic beginner instrument. When you jump to the intermediate, though, it can be pretty expensive. So, you know, maybe the cost will be something that can help you decide as well, if you're not drawn to any particular instrument. You might want to consider, you know, portability as an issue as well. If you're wanting an instrument that you can take with you, you're someone who travels a lot, you know, something small and portable may be your best choice. You'll have more opportunities to play that way, and that's, of course, important. Something like a fiddle is pretty easy to take with you. Something like a harmonica, you can put right in your pocket, take it with you hiking, or, you know, penny flute's another one that, you know, so very easy to take with you. So it might be something that will help you decide. Another area too is you do need to look at your age and your physical abilities. If you have some disabilities, like you know, maybe you've got problems with your hands, or something like that might make it hard for you to learn the guitar, or, maybe if you have shoulder issues or neck issues, fiddle may not be the best choice for you. So, sometimes if you have certain physical disabilities, you may want to consider that as choosing an instrument. And your age too. As we get older, it's harder to learn. And so tackling a harder instrument may not be the best choice, at least for starting. Choose something that's a little bit easier, that ain't gonna take as much time to get into. Again, I mean, it's up to you, but those are some things that you might use to narrow down what you're going to choose to play. Another consideration in relation to that is thinking about the difficulty of the instrument that you're going to be trying to learn. Now, this is where I do get a lot of questions as a musician. People ask me, well, do you think this instrument's harder to learn, or this instrument? And, it's a little bit difficult sometimes to answer that, because I've learned instruments at different periods of time. So that sometimes makes a difference, as to how hard it was for me to learn. But I do think I kind of have a bit of a feel about which ones are harder and easier, which I'll share with you. Again, this is just my opinion, my own experience, but I think possibly you'll find a consensus on this. Some easier instruments that are ones that you can pick up and just pretty much start playing are some types of flute. Like the Native American flute is one. I just posted a video a little bit ago of playing one of those. It's an instrument that's pretty easy to get started on. Once you can learn to cover the holes pretty good and blow in the instrument you're going to be playing, and so that's great. The penny whistle or penny flute's another one like that. Pretty easy to get started on. The harmonica. Harmonica, if you buy one, you start blowing in it, and it's wonderful because when you blow multiple notes, they harmonize with one another. Pretty easy to start playing a melody, and there's instructions with numbers there to learn. So, it's a pretty easy instrument to start learning. Playing the spoons, some types of rhythm instruments like that, spoons or the bones. Some of those things can be pretty easy to learn. The dulcimer, you're stepping up maybe just a little bit there as far as difficulty of learning, but still, I think the dulcimer, at least getting started, is a lot easier than maybe guitar or the fiddle or mandolin or banjo, because it's an open tuning, and so, not as big a physical challenge in learning that one at first, and yet very, very fun to play. You can do a lot with it. Ukulele is a good one. I think it's kind of maybe in between. Easier definitely than the guitar, a little bit more challenging maybe than the harmonica or the penny flute, or maybe even the dulcimer, because you have to learn chords and so forth. But still, with just 4 strings, much easier than some other instruments. Now, having said that, those are some good choices if you want to, start out playing something and be able to start and get into it and have fun pretty quick. Those are good choices. Some of the harder instruments, I get asked this quite a bit: which is harder, the fiddle or the guitar? I think probably the fiddle is harder. Some instruments I haven't played, so it's going to be hard for me to compare. But, I play fiddle and guitar, probably the 2 instruments I play the most. And to me, I think the fiddle was the harder of those to learn, especially starting out. There's just a lot of things that make it difficult. The bowing, the not having frets to go by on the neck, and especially the difficulty of holding it in place while you play. All these things make it a difficult instrument to begin with. The guitar is also a difficult instrument. You can get started, I think, a little bit easier than with the fiddle, just by the fact that it's easier to hold, and you can pick out individual notes with the frets easier, But once you start getting to learning chords or playing very much a melody, it really is a difficult thing for your hands to make the chord shapes. The strings hurt your fingers. Coordinating your right hand for your picking and stuff. It's a more difficult instrument to tackle than some of the easier ones. Mandolin, I play just a little bit. I think again it would be a bit of a harder instrument compared to some. Same with the banjo, particularly if you're doing the finger roll style, the bluegrass style of 3-finger picking with all the picks and stuff. I think that would be very difficult. I don't play that style. Clawhammer, I think, might be a little bit easier than the bluegrass style, and yet still, to me, I think that'd be a bit of a challenge, a little bit harder to learn that. And so on with the bass. Again, I think you're going to have a little bit of a learning curve there, learning to play the bass. And won't even go into some other ones like maybe the accordion or whatever. But those are some of the ones that's very common in folk music, and to me, those are a step up, a little bit harder to learn. So keep that in mind. Do I want to start with something real easy? I can jump right in and start playing like the harmonica, or maybe the dulcimer. Or do I want to get one it's going to take me a little bit of time before I'm able to start making music on? Now, let me say in connection with that, something to consider here is, the learning curve on these instruments. If you start with an easy instrument, like let's say the harmonica, it's something you can pick it up, you can immediately start making sound. And it's pretty easy to begin to play songs on it. Just follow the notes or play it by ear. All the little holes harmonize with one another. You're going to start playing very quickly. But as is true with a lot of these easier instruments, if you're going to progress beyond just that basic level, you run into then a pretty steep learning curve. Like with harmonica, if you decide, well, I want to get better at this and go beyond just the basic playing, well, then you got to get into, learning how to play single notes, how to play a single note and then do alternating chords, all on this one instrument. That gets to be pretty complex. And some of the easier instruments, to go further and be more complex, you end up having a lot steeper curve. Whereas maybe some of the more difficult instruments, it's harder at first, but once you get started, it's kind of how should I put it? A kind of an even, slope learning curve going up with it. Some of the easier ones, it's pretty easy, and all of a sudden you just almost hit a wall. It's very hard to go to the next level. So that's something to think about, thinking about, what am I going to do with this instrument, and how far do I want to go? So that can come into to consider as well. And there's some instruments I think are kind of a real neat in between. I would put in that category the piano. The piano, you can immediately just pluck or tap those keys on the piano and produce a melody. Anyone pretty much with healthy fingers can go on there and start playing a melody, and even basic chords, not too hard to do on the piano. So you can get started pretty easy. But then, of course, the piano is wide open to go on beyond that. You can move to playing a melody with chords, then, syncopated chords and playing bass lines, and just, you can go as far as you want on the piano. And it's a pretty even, learning curve. It just, you just keep progressing. So there's some in-between ones like that. Definitely the piano would be in that category. And there's others as well. So some things to think about, as you're choosing. But let me say just one other thing real quick. As you're making these decisions and you're trying to figure out what instrument to play, I think one of the biggest things is to just be honest with yourself. Try to really be honest and evaluate, your mindset, who you are as a person, how determined you're going to be with this, how important it is to you. I think a lot of times, it's very common for people to say, kind of on a whim, oh, it would be so much fun to play an instrument. And they go out and they pay money for an instrument, and they pay money for lessons and get all the, their music and stuff. And they try it for about a week or two, and then they just give up. They just really don't have the drive or determination to do what it takes. And so as you're thinking about these things, really be honest with yourself. Think about, about your determination. Are you one of those type of people that are very determined and will stick with it? That comes into deciding what instrument you're going to play, even whether you really want to pursue it. But if you're one of those people that really can, have a very dogged determination and really tackle something challenging, well, get one of the more difficult instruments, and you'll enjoy, the challenge of it. Also, consider your ability. Some people have natural music ability. If you're aware of that in yourself, you're able to honestly see that you are someone who has some ability, well, that goes a long ways to deciding what instrument that you want to play. So be honest in thinking about that too. Very important is to think about your goals for playing music. Is it just something where you want to be able to sit around by yourself or out in the woods and just play something to, kind of pass the time? Are you wanting to play with other people? Are you wanting to be in a band? Are you wanting to entertain? Are you wanting to, start a lifelong pursuit of music? All these things determine really what instrument you should start with and move forward with it. So really be honest about your goals and think about that. It really will affect what you decide. And what I always tell people, the most important thing of any of these thoughts and processes is the importance of having fun with it. Whatever instrument you're going to choose, whatever your goals may be, the most important part of success and playing music is to have fun. Make a choice where you're going to have fun doing it. And whether you choose a difficult instrument, an easy instrument, your goal is, lifelong or performance or just having, fun by yourself. The most important thing in all of those is make sure that you're able to have fun doing it. Make sure you're having fun learning that instrument. Make sure you have fun performing. Even at the beginning, it should be fun to you to face those challenges. So have a good time while you're doing it, and that's one of the most important things to help you to learn an instrument. Well, I hope that this video is helpful to you. Maybe help you decide what instrument to play, and certainly, if you know anybody personally that plays, like I said, people approach me, approach someone who plays and talk to them. Maybe that can help you too. But I hope in the absence of that, this video can be of help to you as well. So anyway, I hope that you will come back and watch some of my music videos. And as maybe I post some of these in the future, we'll tune in and get some insight from someone who's played for a number of years. But anyway, thanks for your time and your attention. Please like the video and subscribe if you like this. So thank you. We'll see you later.